Hope you guys are as excited as I am to see the Lizardmen once again. This time filtered by Scarbrand, the Exiled, up against Del Duca Sabalo. Scarbrand bringing a favorite of mine, not in game because they're kind of useless in game, but in lore they are an absolute badass, and it is him, Gor-Rok, the Great White Lizard. Style points, big style points here for bringing him. But he does have a little bit of function here, I suppose. He's very durable and relatively cheap, even with some of his items like Mace of Ulumak and Rock of Itza. He's durable in the sense that he has a silver shield. He has very high armor, high leadership, pretty good, pretty decent melee stats. So he's hard to snipe out, not only in melee, but it also has missiles as well, especially with the base physical resistance, and then another 40% from rock. Yeah. So unless they bring like Swift Shiver shards, which have magical missiles, obviously, then he's not going to take a lot of damage. And even then, he's a small target. So, though I do think that he should be much bigger, honestly. I think he should be a much bigger target, like towering over the other Saurus. But obviously, it benefits him in this matchup nonetheless. So, um, maybe he prefers it that way, Gor-Rok. Though I think it should befit his true title, the Great White Lizard. So give us Big White Lizard, please. Thanks. Anyways, Skink Priest on foot with Flock of Doom. That's his only purpose, is just to waddle around on his cute little feet and just cast Flock of Doom on the bundles of wood elves that he sees. That's his sole job, and hopefully he does it well. We have a whole bunch of Skink cohorts as the front line, double Spear Riders on both flanks, including double Quaddle, as I explained in the Chaos Dwarf video. They're just incredibly good in the wood elf matchups from what I've learned, and for a couple reasons, missile resistance, as I said before, but also the bounce spells are just very, very oppressive. Thunderbolt and Chained Lightning, even if they don't land, they're pushing the unit back, like the Way Watchers or Swift Shiver shards, so they're not able to continue shooting on the appropriate target. Obviously, they do have fire whilst moving, but if they're being pushed out of range on the correct target, then, it helps for sure. And it gives the Coattles a little bit more time to get on top of them as they push them back with those bounce spells. But yeah, they also hide stuff underneath them. So the Cold One Spear Riders and, like, say, a Lord, for example, or another expensive piece is hiding underneath it, so they can get sniped out by Way Watchers or just extremely oppressive range units on any other faction or artillery. But yeah, fantastic. We also have the Umbral Tide as well. The ROR Salamander Hunting Pack. They have perfect vigor and stock. So just keep them sneakily in play to get any cheeky little shots in when your opponent is not paying attention. And yeah, they should do pretty good here, shooting into Wild Riders who are relatively low armored at 40, as the Salamander Hunting Backs don't have exactly the best AP, only 17 with 2 AP, explosive AP. But for the Wood Elves, we do have a Glade Lord on a Dragon with Prey of Anathrema, and that is it. We have Hawkeye's Jakira and Double Way Watcher. Again, they don't have magical attacks, so any physical resistance of, like, say, Gor-Rok, or I'm trying to think of other physical resistance units on the Lizardmen side, but my mind's going blank, but I'm sure there's others. So they won't go through them, but they do have extremely high AP, obviously, so they're very, very good at quickly eliminating a target. In this case, these poor little skinks. They also have that discouraged effect, which is very, very nice on the Hawkeye's Jakira. So minus 16 leadership is no joke. Yeah, Glade Riders with spears. We also have a front line of Dryads who would chew through skinks very quickly, which are very, very popular in most Lizardmen matchups. Saurus just aren't the correct choice most of the time. Wild Riders in the back line, one being the Wild Hunters, the ROR anti-large specialist cav. They should do Wild Hunters in general, or Wild Riders, do incredibly, actually rather, yeah, the Wild Hunters do incredibly well into Lizardman cav. Actually, no, they trade somewhat well Stag Knights do incredibly well into Code 1 Cav, and even do incredibly well into Horned ones as well. Stag Knights are extremely oppressive, but yeah, Hot Hunters are also really good here as well. We have the Weight Watchers kind of at the moment just kind of wasting their shots on the Skeen cohorts, but they're going to actually turn their shots onto Gor-Rok with that Prey of Anathema going down, giving them that minus 20% missile resistance and netting him in place. But it's not going to actually do a whole lot with that Rock of Itza being popped, because it's not a rampage. You can still pop that ability. So it's mitigating a lot of that fire, and especially considering he's a small target. So unfortunately, no Lord Snipe out from the Wood Elves. A nice little breath attack going on the Skiing cohorts, however, doing some pretty solid damage, but not a lot of actual value there. Would have preferred to keep those for the Code ones instead. But I see some value in it, as in clearing infantry. The Code 1 Spear Riders are now taking shots from the Way Watchers. I don't think they're focused in at the moment, but it would be a good target to focus at, because they're one of the only units that can get on top of the Way Watchers, aside from the Quaddles, of course. Flock of Doom going down, hitting the Way Watchers plus the Wild Riders as well, doing some pretty good work. The Skink Priest is taking some dangerous shots there from the Way Watchers. Got to keep that guy back, because that could lead to some pretty dangerous situation there for the Lizardmen. The Umbral Tide show themselves after they take a few shots at the Glade Lord, but now are focusing in on the Way Watchers, now shooting at the Dryads instead, because it's the only target in range as the Way Watchers are being pushed back by the Quaddles. Chain Lightning going down on the Way Watchers, and not going to do a whole lot. In fact, disrupt a little bit of their their models and push them back. But the Quaddle definitely needs support from the other Quaddle, instead of it being tied up here with Dryads. We have a Thunderbolt going down and missing. Spear Riders getting an engagement here with the Wild Hunters, especially with the support from the Skink Javelins and the Umbral Tide, putting some pretty fantastic work into them. Actually, no, I think it was just double Spear Rider fighting them, which obviously the Wild Hunters are not going to enjoy. And now the Umbral Tide are shooting them in the flank as they try to run away. However, one Spear Rider does get ran off. So, I wouldn't say the greatest trade for the Wood Elves. Massive Flock of Doom coming in there, hitting, I think it was from the Lizardman side, hitting the Dryads and the Wild Riders, plus the Glade Lord. So pretty good value there. A Thunderbolt going down, hitting the Dryads, not doing a whole lot of work. Wild Hunters are probably going to be finished off here or routed off here soon, as they're wavering at 10 leadership. The Way Watchers continues to be disrupted by the Quaddle, who does end up riding off thanks to that discouraged effect. And he takes a lot of damage because he was focused in by those 3 Way Watchers, considering they had no support from the second Quaddle. But the second Quaddle does finally make its way here, disrupting those models and not allowing them to shoot, giving the Spear Riders time to charge in there. Flock of Doom hitting that Wild Rider plus possibly the other Way Watcher. Nope, just the Wild Rider doing okay work. The Chain Lightning coming in here again, but not doing as much work. Still, disruption is some value nonetheless. The Umbral Tide shooting in on the Glade Riders and forcing them off the field. A net coming in here on the Skull and Spear Riders, the Prey of Anathema, to stop them from possibly supporting the Wild Riders, who do end up getting a charge in on them while they're netted, with the backing of the Wild Hunters. But both Cav units are fairly beat up, and now the Code 1 Spear Riders are getting some support from from the Gor-Rok plus the missile units of the Lizardmen. So they're probably going to lose that battle, especially with the Thunderbolt coming in there. Quaddle takes in a bad engagement there with the Glade Lord, definitely wants to get out of there, and it is going to be chasing after the Way Watchers, and that's all they want to do here. They do not want to be dueling out with the Glade Lord. They just want to continue brute forcing, getting on top of the Way Watchers to stop them from shooting. The Riders taking a volley there from the Way Watchers. That discouraged effect is probably going to rout them off here soon, especially if they take another volley there, because they're taking damage, and that discouraged effect down to 1 leadership, and there they go, routed, especially with a charge in from the Glade Riders. The Glade Lord disrupts the Cold One Spear Riders, gets some models there, kills those guys off, but the Spear Riders, the Lizardman player, is going to be smart about it and brute force them past to get on top of the Way Watchers. Just giving the Way Watchers a lot of trouble, trying to stop them from shooting. That is the main game here for the Lizardmen. Some Dryads coming back here. We also have some Spear Riders coming back as well. The Umbral Tide doing some pretty solid work here, constantly forcing the Glade Lord to have to return it into the air. Though, honestly, fighting Gor-Rok was probably the worst choice that they could have made there in the first place. I would have preferred them just to continue chasing after the Quaddle instead, as it had a possibility of coming back, and it does. This Quaddle continuously forcing its way into the Wood Elves back line. Glaylord is going to try to go over to support the Way Watchers because that's their best bet, considering that this one came back. Yeah, just dealing with the Quaddles is the best choice here. This one, which is the lowest, obviously, is the correct choice. Routing it off and possibly shattering it might be the best. Yeah, there we go. There goes it, and it shatters. So now they can come over here and deal with this one, but then they're unfortunately chasing after that one. The Spellsinger is luckily still hanging on at 4 leadership. If the Wood Elves are going to be able to come back from this, it's going to be with those Flocks of Doom. This King Priest probably still has some solid winds of magic as well. As we Watchers get terror routed, the Haka's Jakira freaking come back with 5 leadership just on the edge of the freaking white line. How is that possible? That is ridiculous. What is the RNG here for the Wood Elves? And this Quaddle might end up routing up, and they are at the white line as well. So it could very much mean that they leave the field and the Lizardmen won't have anything to disrupt the Way Watchers anymore. I do get that cold-blooded on top of them, and for some reason they're not aiming for the white line this time, just like the Way Watchers did. Why? What is right there? I feel for the Wood Elves player. We do have the Glaylord getting a nice little breath attack there on the Spear Riders, providing that discouraged effect as well from the Way Watchers. So I can't imagine those Spear Riders, they run for too long, but that charging leadership buff comes in there with a 15, bringing them up to 20. Very nice there. And they do get rid of the Way Watchers. Very nice. A Flock of Doom hitting the Spear Riders. That's a very, very solid Flock of Doom hitting Spear Riders, speaking javelins, and and they both get terror routed from the dragon. The Way Watchers get routed off, and the Skinks, the Quaddle does eventually come back. This Way Watchers only have 6 follies, or rather 6 models left. So even if they do come back, which they do, they're not going to provide a whole lot of work. This Quaddle does finally actually go to the white line. I don't know why it did it that time. It maybe wanted to go for a scenic view. I'm not sure. But balance of power looking to be pretty in favor of the Lizardmen, and for good reason. I mean, the Umbral Tide are still up at relatively healthy at 29 models. Glaylord is probably going to change that, however, as it does jump down and munch on a single model, and now the Dryads catch them out. We do have that overcasted Flock of Doom hitting those Dryads, however, and Gor-Rok is going to get a rear charge on them. Might route them off here with that rear charge, -2 leadership. And yes, they do get routed off. Glaylord continuing to chase after the Umbral Tide because that is the smartest choice. We do have some Dryads coming back here. The Umbral Tide might be able to get a volley off before they get charged, and I think they do. Yes, very nice, solid damage in there coming from those Umbral Tide while they're getting rear charged by the dragon, and now getting rear charged by the freaking Dryads. Actually, they don't even get their charge attack off. What the heck? Yeah, they didn't even get it off. What? I guess they got stopped by something. I don't know what. Nevertheless, White Hunters coming back. That could be pretty bad. Even if they only have 10 models left, they could do some pretty good work, especially with the help of the Glaylord. If the Lizardman players lose that Umbral Tide, that could be pretty freaking bad. That could be a massive mistake. But luckily, the Wild Hunters do get routed off, or they get shattered. Ooh, and the Umbral Tide do terrify as well. Down to 13 freaking models. This is like a nail biter. Yeah, it's still balanced power thanks to the Lizardmen players and Windows. It bounces back a little towards the Wood Elves player favor, but does eventually go back to the Wood Elves. So Gor-Rok is stuck here fighting the Dryads, so he can grind them out all day. King Priest is going to jump in there for some reason and start fighting the Glaylord, or the Dryads, I guess. But I think Gor-Rok will have no issue just beating down the Glaylord, especially with the Daze effect, reducing their melee defense by -10. Javelin's going to be finished off by the Dryads most likely. Glaylord Riders jump in there on top and the King Priest does get routed off. We have some Skinks coming in here, but they're going to route off before they even get to the fight. Balance of power still looking to be in Lizardman's flavor in favor of the Lizardmen. Glaylord can probably stay in the air while Gor-Rok fights it off and just continually shooting at Gor-Rok. Not going to do a whole lot though with that silver shield. Maybe we have another flock of. Let's see. Yeah, we have a special thing over here. We have another flock of doom that could fit flock of doom those skin cohorts, but instead goes on Gor-Rok. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that, but at least they're using their spells. Glade Riders do get a charge in there on the Skinks. Probably going to rout them off. Actually, they decided to juggle between the both of them, trying to stop them from getting to support Gor-Rok, and that's the smart choice there. That's well played by the Wood Elves. That's what you got to be doing. Blade Lord going to jump in there, but Gor-Rok really proving to be very, very tough to take down with a 60 melee defense, and he's not tired at all thanks to that ability, that Rock of Itza, giving him that minus 3% vigor per second. I'm going to speed things up here as things get grinded out here, and with those Glade Riders running away, and the Mage running away as well, I think... What, were they in combat? I think they got sent in combat. Where are they? There's the Dryads. There's the other Dryads. There's the Glade Lord. Huh. I don't know where the Mage went. Oh, they're there. They got routed off. But yeah. As soon as those guys routed off, the army loss kicked in, and that goes to the Lizardman. Freaking Gor-Rok just managing to clutch it out for the... The old ones, I cannot say could be more proud than they are today for, than they are of Gor-Rok. That is, he just did so much incredible work there. Probably the best work he's done in Warhammer, Total Warhammer in general. I don't think I've seen him pay for himself so much. I mean, I don't have to look at his value to say he paid for himself, because he stood there for so long. He was able to tank the Glade Lord's attacks and just finish off the Dryads. My God, he was a total disruption piece. Though, I have to say, it was a big mistake for sure from the Wood Elves player trying to snipe them out in the beginning. Definitely would have been much better sniping out, like, oh, I don't know, maybe a Quaddle or a Spear Rider. But I suppose it was worth a try. 1252 here on Gor-Rok. Yeah, again, that is definitely the most value I've ever seen on him for Jesus Christ. And again, that's just from him fighting the Glade Lord and occasionally just grinding through Dryads. I mean, I saw him fight some Spear Riders on occasion. That's probably the most action Gor-Rok has seen in the Total Warhammer series, or at least Warhammer 3. 2176 here on the Skink Priest. Flock of Doom just incredibly good. Whenever you're up against a Flock of Doom caster, it's really hard to not bunch up all the time. Like sometimes you make the mistake and you get bunched up, and your opponent just gets fantastic value hitting 3 or 4 of your units with that Flock of Doom. So yeah, just super easy to get that value there. Did incredible work, that little fella, on his 2 little feats. He should be proud of himself. 953, 1045 on the Quaddle. They didn't get like astronomical value. In fact, Gor-Rok got more value than each of them. But again, I always have to reiterate, value isn't always showed in gold. Constantly screening away the Way Watchers is massive value in and of itself. Forcing them to have to spin their shots on the Quaddles and have to back away from the main fight, not be able to support the main army, is big trouble for them, especially on a unit so expensive. If they're losing models, like 4 or 5 models each time the Quaddle charges, I'm being generous there because the Quaddle isn't that great at actually killing infantry a lot of the time because their animations are so jank. But if they're losing 4 or 5 models each time the Quaddle charges, then that's serious value that the Quaddle's getting as well. But yeah, just them being screened out, them having to waste their ammunition on a unit with 25, that much missile resistance is very, very frustrating, especially when they're not able to shoot because the Quaddle's actually in their business, forcing them into melee mode. Yeah, incredible work there. The Umbral Tide as well, doing solid work at 1870 freaking 2. Just so good in this matchup with those unarmored cav, rather low armored cav. Which is really, really good there. They can even obviously do okay into like, what's Big Daddy Thurthu. He has a lot of armor, and again, they have pretty piss poor AP, but they do have obviously fire weakness, so it helps mitigate some of that lack of AP. But yeah, 1659 here on the Glade Lord, doing relatively okay. I think they're like around 1800, or let's say 1900 on the dragon. But yeah, they did their job. Breath attacks I think could have been better, and same with the Brain of the Rima. But one of them did get used on a Spear Rider, and I think I think that's your definite target, or the Umbral Tide. The Umbral Tide for sure. As soon as you see those guys, as soon as they come out of stock, they should be high up on your priority list of units to shut down. As for everything else, Dryads did fine. Weight Watchers did pretty good work there. No surprise, 1816, 1239, and 1300. I don't like Weight Watchers nowadays into Lizardmen. I prefer massive Blade Guard instead. Right? Yeah, it's the name. Yeah. I always get them mixed up with the infantry. I think it's Glade Guard. I think they're just Glade Guard with fire arrows. Regular arrows. I can't think of their name. What up, players? Curse me. 963 here on the 100 Currents. But yeah, I just prefer the max 5 Glade Guard instead, because they're just so much more impressive. They can do incredibly well into skinks, and it gives you a wider army rather than having to pay so much for these elite range units. But yeah, I can see their use at trying to snipe out of land, but I don't think it's worth it at all. I will catch you guys next time with another one. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks to Scarbrand for sending in the replay. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.